So do you know how badly the situation regarding the refugee crisis in Europe is? Since summer 2015, Europe experienced the highest influx of refugees since the Second World War. But why? The main reason is that Syria has become the top source of refugees. Syria is a country located in the Middle East and existing since at least 10,000 years. And in summer 2011, a brutal civil war started in this country because the regime refused to resign. Different ethnic and different religious groups fought each other at this time. And ISIS, a terrorism organization, used this opportunity to join this mess with the goal to establish an Islamic caliphate. And very quickly, ISIS became the most successful and most dangerous terrorism organization on earth. Every member of this terrorism organization committed terrible felonies, for example as mass execution, tortures or brutal murders. So the third of Syrian people has been displaced within Syria, while over 4 million people have fled the country. The majority of the country have fled to the neighbor countries who are taking care of 95% of the refugees. But most of the neighbor countries were not prepared for a refugee crisis of this scale. So the Syrian population lost the hope of the situation that it's getting better anytime soon and decided to seek asylum in Europe. But also the country in Europe were badly prepared for a refugee crisis of this scale. Because the thing is, a refugee has to stay in the state they arrived in first, which put enormous pressure on the border states who are already in trouble. For example, Greece, a country which is in the midst of an economic crisis, was not able to take care of so many refugees at one time. So it's leading to terrible scenes, for example, like hungry people on islands which are usually reserved for tourists. And at this time the world has become more divided and divided. But the perception changed when photos circulated of a dead boy from Syria found lying on the beach in Turkey. Just before it said, "This tragic image of the little boy who's lost his life fleeing from Syria is shocking and is a reminder of the dangers children and families are taking in search for a better life." And for this I want to show you a video about the situation of Syria and the situation of the Syria kids.
When you look at Omran's face, I think it hits you that this bloodied, impassive face, so traumatized that even as he pulled his hand away with his own blood, he didn't react, he didn't respond. This is now what it looks like to be lucky as a child in Syria. To be lucky means that you're pulled out of the rubble after a 45-minute search, alone, in the dark, and you're pulled out alive. And in that moment, it reminded so many of us, I think, of the image of another Syrian little boy, Aylan Kurdi, who wasn't lucky. That image of Aylan Kurdi's lifeless 3-year-old body being brought out of the Mediterranean Sea. And at the time, I think we all thought that has to be the most difficult of choices. Either stay in Syria, stay under the bombardment and the barrel bombs, stay inside the besieged zones, or leave and risk the sea, risk the crossing, risk that your child isn't going to make it to the other side alive. But now when we speak to parents inside Aleppo and inside other besieged cities in Syria, they tell us it's not a choice anymore. Even that choice, as stark as it is, that is no longer available to parents inside Syria because they feel that Europe has closed its doors to them.
After this, Germany announced that it will, without exception, accept all... Sorry. So again, after this, Germany announced that it will, without exception, accept all Syrian refugees and prepared in 2015 to take in over 800 Syrian Syrian refugees. All in West, more and more people are beginning to take action, but mostly also support comes from citizens and not from the politicians. But there are still fears in the Western world, for example, the Islam, the high birth rates, or the collapse of the social systems. But the world writing history now, and how does the world want to be remembered? As a rich cowards world who is behind fences? No, they have to realize that these people fleeing from death and destruction are no different from us. Nowadays, things are getting better, and there's only something to be lost if we ignore this crisis. And more dead children are sure to wash ashore if we don't act with humanity and reason. And we have to do the best and try the best we possibly can be. Thank you.